Hey everybody, this is my boy Ray. Ray is playing a very unique deck here at Locals. You want to go ahead and explain what it is and how it works?
Yes, so this is called Branded Runick. I describe it as a Bestial Runick's bigger brother. Now, is it better than Bestial Runick? I don't know. Not a lot of people, I don't think really many people have played this variation of Runick, or Branded for that matter. So, real quick, without further ado, I'd like to show everybody my deck list. So, we're going to start with the Runick engine. So as of currently, and note that this is subject to change, here we got 2 copies of Runick Destruction, 2 copies of Slumber, of course 2 copies of Fountain, definitely necessary for the combo. Then we have, we've got 3 copies of Flashing Fire, organize that. We got 3 copies of Runick Freezing Curses. And then we have 3 copies of course, none other than Runick Tip. It's basically Rhoda for Runicks. And so the ratios here, usually people suggest running about like, if you're running a 40 card deck, run like either 17 to 20 Runick quick plays. But you know, I'm running the branded engine is a little bit bigger, so I'm running about, let's count them with me. So 2, 4, 7. 10, 13, so 13 Runick quick plays and 2 of the field spell. And what I would do with the ratios, in this case, once I get another Slumber, I'm gonna run Slumber at 3 because Slumber and Tip are the 2 of the Runick cards that don't require interaction with your opponent. And next,
and this is all in service of decking out your opponent, correct?
No. So normally, what Runick is about, and this is mainly in the OCG and Master Duel I've noticed, is that they focus on decking out and floodgating the opponent. I run no floodgates in this deck. I don't even run the Gimmick Lock because number 1, I don't have room for another brick, and 2, I just I don't believe in the whole turn skip thing. I would rather give my opponent a chance to try and break my board if they can. And I'm gonna disrupt them as much as possible. But if they can do it, you know, hey, sometimes you got it, right? So basically, the whole point of this, the Runick engine, is just for recursion. And another card I have in this deck in the branded engine will also kind of complements it, but we'll get right into it here. So here's our branded engine. So we're running 5 1-ofs. We're running Lost, Branded in Red, Duspian Tragedy, Regained, and Retribution. So a lot of these cards actually do have recursion value. So for example, Retribution and Tragedy essentially almost do the same thing, except Tragedy sets from the grave, Retribution adds from grave, any branded spell trap, except Retribution, of course. Brandon in Red's really good. He's really good. I usually go into Guardian Chimera with him. Sometimes I'll go into an extra tax dragon, because another thing about this deck is since I don't get a battle phase, what better way to go about this than burning my opponent's life points for every effect they activate, right? Lost, you know, Lost is a good card. You know, it keeps your stuff from getting negated within the chain of a fusion summon. And then here's one I want to take a really good look at for you folks. So Branded Regains. So when you have Branded Regain and Runick Fountain on the field, not only can you potentially draw up to 4 cards during your opponent's turn, but you know, of course, Regained has another effect once per chain to special a bestial monster from the grave. So, just excellent recycling of the resources is the name of the game here. And being able to shuffle, you know, not only your own cards, because, you know, Regained, I like to shuffle like Fallen of Albaz's because I need them in the deck. But also like shuffling your opponent's resources. Say you banished a D-shifter that they can't use. Put the shifter back in their deck, basically a dead card if they've got cards in the grave, and you get to draw a card. So that's the synergy between Fountain and Branded Regained. But so going into the branded engine, of course you need 3 branded fusion, you know, because the TCG loves branded fusion more than the OCG. So right now I run 2 Alibur. You can run 3, but I personally prefer to run 2. 2 Cartesia, 2 Fallen of well, technically 2 in name, but 3 really, because Albion becomes Fallen of Albaz, at least while on the field or engraved, and he's also really good for if he's in your hand, he's really good for getting stuff in the grave, like Retribution, for example. So you send it to grave, and then you play. If he's in your hand, you place it at the bottom of the deck, and you get to draw cards. So you get more bang for your buck. You get stuff in grave, and you get to draw more cards. Because who doesn't love drawing, right? And then last in the branded engine, or sort of. I mean, if you want to count, the Bestial engine sort of kind of synergizes well with it. So we got 3 branded opening, really good, especially if you got something like Tragedy or Sarnir in the hands. You can get because usually you're specialing Alibur with opening. So it's really good for like if your opponent's smart, they'll ash the branded fusion, but if they decide they want to try and ash the Alibur, you can either chain block it with Tragedy or Sarnir, because they both have effects that move things out of the deck. But this is also really good for protecting things. Like if I want to protect my Tax Dragon from destruction, just banish this, and since it's not an activated effect, the opponent can't negate it. So pretty useful, I'd say. And then we're going into our non-engine, last but not least. Hang on. Well, first let's go over quickly it's sort of non-engine. I'd say it is, because Sarnir can dump a branded spell trap or a Bestial, but and then of course Lubellion can place a continuous branded spell trap, either lost or regained. I try to go for regain first because of the recursion at the value, but these are just really good cards, especially because they trigger things like branded regains to get you extra cards and recycle your resources, while also at the same time being able to disrupt your opponent in as many instances. And then moving right along, last but not least, our non-engine. So I'll move this stuff out of the way here. Alright, so currently we run 3 Super Poly, really good for breaking boards going first or second. 1 Called by the Grave. 2 Santa Clauses. It's a light monster, and it can deal with the towers monsters like Pearly and the Raid Raptors. 2 Ash, and 2 Crossouts. You could run 3 of these, but I'm trying not to bloat the deck too much. We're at about between 46 to 48 cards. I forgot to count, but I'm pretty sure it's leaning on 48. But I didn't want to add 2 more bricks into the deck. But I normally wouldn't run hand traps in this deck, because the Runick cards are essentially hand traps on their own. But Crossout and Ash, they both synergize. So I run Crossout for Ash, and I run Ash for Crossout, because having the branded fusion Ash can hurt. But one more good thing in this deck I'll explain is so this deck kind of gives your opponent an ultimatum. Do they Ash the Search of the Fountain? Do they Ash the Fountain itself? Or do they Ash the branded fusion? I've had people say it's kind of 50-50. I've had people say they'd rather Ash the branded fusion, or they'd rather stop the Runick Fountain draw 3, or up to draw 3. And so this is my deck profile. It's a really good way of has a really good way of recurring resources and disrupting the opponent, and in some cases I've made a couple of them angry, but
sorry, I'm going to cut you off. What are you running in your extra deck?
So my extra deck, this it's not as organized as most, but I'll go ahead and run through that with you. So we are running let me make sure the count's right here, because so we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 14, 15. Alright, so we've got 15 in our extra deck. We are running 1 Predaplant I can't even pronounce that, but so this is really good synergy with Super Poly. So if you're running into if you know you're going against, if I know I'm going against a dark deck, this is really good because it takes 3 dark monsters on the field. So you can literally like wipe an opponent's board. Like say during the battle phase, if you just want to wipe the opponent's board, this is a really good way to do it because it doesn't require 2 monsters; it requires 3. And that can really hurt. Not to mention he's a big 3K guy. So this is our sideboard. I'll show the extra deck in just a minute. So we're running 2 Effect Veiler, 1 Feather Duster, 3 Fusion Deploy, another Crossout in case I want to run a third one, 3 Nibiru, and here's another one of our time cards. Even though we have one in the extra deck, more on that later. We've got Ghost Sister and Spooky Dogwood.
Favorite card of mine.
Oh yeah. And then another Runick card, Smiting Storm. This one I don't like as much, but it can come up sometimes. You know, you could potentially banish up to 10 cards from your opponent's deck, which is crazy. And then or 12 because you got the extra monster in the field zone. So, if I even let an opponent build up that much, and then running 1 copy of Triple Tactics Talent. So something I would change about this, once I get another copy, I would probably take these 1-ofs out, and then put in either 2 more tactics or replace the tactics and put in 3 thrust, because you know thrust can of course search your branded fusion. And then going into the extra deck, last but not least, I know this is something you've wanted to see. Here is our extra deck. So we're running a lot of 1-ofs, but normally you'd see people running a lot of like 2 or 3-ofs, but I have a way of recurring a lot of these resources. So but I'll go ahead and show you. So we got 1 Grand Gigneol, Mud Dragon of the Swamp, Garura, Despian Coyartis. We got not 1, but 2 Masquerade Dragons. You know, going back to the SpongeBob meme, what could be worse than 1 Tax Dragon? I know, 2 Tax Dragons. So I hope my impersonation of Patrick wasn't that bad. But anyways, moving right along. So we got Mirror Jade, and then we got Albion, Protoplant, Dragastapelia. I'm gonna pair these together because these are the main super poly targets. And then here, then I'll move these over because these more kind of synchronized with the branded engine. Then we have Guardian Chimera, Rebellion, the Searing Dragon. This card really helps play through Shifter because it can shuffle from face up banished as well. So really good for playing through that. Alba Lenidus, really. So this card's funny because there have been times where I've wiped boards because say an opponent's running Dragon Links. So one good thing you can do if you have it in hand, set Fallen of Albaz face down. And then if your opponent's running something again like Dragon Links or branded as well, so Fallen of Albaz does not have to be face up to contact fuse your opponent's board. For some reason, every single extra deck summoning mechanic except for fusion allows you to summon with face down monsters. But anyways, we've got here's our 2 Runick fusion cards. We got Hugin, which searches the field spell. Also provides destruction protection just for any card, really. So really good if your opponent activates like a Feather Duster or a Lightning Storm. You could just banish this, which can also not only protect your regained in your fountain, but it can also trigger regain because it's a light type. So you can put this back in the extra deck and then draw a card because I mean, it's just really good. And then here's another time card, which is built into my deck. I mean, technically you could say these 3 guys are time cards, but these 2, of course, serve a purpose for being the burn cards because, I usually don't get a battle phase. But Munin's really good because during the end phase, she increases your life points by 1,000 and This one doesn't come up really often, but quick effect to banish. It's basically a targeting negation. Anything that would target a runic card. And then, last but not least, this is gonna surprise you guys, but I am running Chaos Angel in this extra deck, the one synchro monster. So West, you might be wondering why I'm running this in the extra deck, because this is a fusion based. So real simple. So in a here, I'll flip it like this. So in the instance where I'm in a turn where I'm not where I haven't fusion locked myself, but I have a bolt. So say I've got a decent board, but I want to make it better. So go one Cartesia, and either one of the Bastille brothers here can make Chaos Angel. So if I really want to punch for game, and of course banish a card from my opponent's field. Not to mention I get both of the effects of Chaos Angel because we got a dark and a light. So unaffected, my monsters can't be destroyed by battle, and a whopping 3,500 attack. I mean, that's gonna hurt. Direct attack is gonna hurt.
Just a little bit.
Yep. So that's that. So basically, I run this as like because usually most of the time the games are gonna go more than two turns, because of course I skip my battle phase, and then the goal is to disrupt the opponent, or force them to take alternate routes that don't allow them to kill me immediately. So again, the goal here is it's not necessarily even a stall tactic. Again, it's just I just really like the runic cards because of their ability to recycle your resources, and just the fact that this card being the key to all of it turns the runic cards into hand traps. So that's why the only main deck hand trap, or the only official hand trap I run, let's say, is Ash Blossom, because it has a lot of, I mean, ashes can hit a lot of things, but the main reason I run it is for cross out, to stop that because of course some people are adamant on stopping that branded fusion from resolving.
All right, well, Ray, thank you so much for letting us take a look at this.
Yeah, man, of course.
Very much appreciate it. Guys, be sure to check out his channel. He is making one in the near future. So definitely, I will link that below if it's already existed when this video goes out. If not, be sure you'll definitely see it in some future videos, and you'll definitely be seeing a lot more Ray on the channel too.
Yep, and pass turn.